Before we deconstruct the massive demographic and financial shift currently rewriting the global compensation hierarchy, I have exactly 3 critical questions for you to answer in the comments below. Number 1. Are you currently dedicating your cognitive bandwidth to learning a programming language that an AI can already write flawlessly in 14 milliseconds? Number 2. If the power grid in your city collapses tomorrow, rendering your cloud-based software utterly useless, do you possess the physical engineering skills to remain a highly compensated essential operators? Number 3. Have you analyzed the exact macroeconomic reason why energy architects in the UAE and India are quietly demanding and receiving salaries that dwarfs those of a senior software developer? Let me know your answer. If you're new to the channel, here is my intro. I am Dr. HR and I approach the global labor and capital market not with emotional comforting advice, but as a structural algorithmic system. I hold a PhD in human resources, a master's from prestigious Tata Institute of Social Sciences in Mumbai, and a bachelor's in computer engineering. Operating on the ground here in Dubai since 2010, consulting for Tier 1 corporate entities, sovereign wealth funds, and apex tech founders across the Middle East and India subcontinent, I have monitored exactly how global talent is evaluated, leveraged, and compensated. The market does not reward you for doing what is popular. It rewards you for doing what is structurally critical and mathematically scarce. The era of $500,000 junior developer is officially over, and the new king of the job market aren't writing code. They are building reactors. While the tech industry faces catastrophic terminal saturation, a massive talent vacuum in nuclear and energy engineering has aggressively pushed the salaries past the senior software developer roles. If you want true unshakable career leverage in 2026, you need to stop building superficial apps and start mastering the physical grid. Our global power grid has hit its absolute breaking point, and the only people who can save it are currently the highest paid engineer on the planet. We are witnessing a historic, irreversible shift where specialized energy architects are mathematically outlearning the world's best coder. This isn't just a career move, it's a violent race to secure the high-stakes physical infrastructure that powers our entire electrical civilization. What if I told you that mastering nuclear energy physics and thermodynamics is now a faster, more secure path to generational wealth than learning Python? A critical, terrifying shortage of energy engineers has created a massive pay premium for those who manage the high-stakes hardware over digital software. We are documenting exactly why the smartest, most elite talent is ditching the saturated illusion of Silicon Valley to build the nuclear future where the paycheck finally matches the global demand. Before I completely dismantle the illusion of a software developer premium, expose the exact thermodynamics constraint driving this wealth transfer, and give you the precise architectural blueprint to pivot your career into a sovereign energy sector across India and UAE, hit the subscribe button and press the notification bell. I post daily videos showing you exactly how to navigate the global labor and capital market using cold, hard engineering logic. You do not want to miss these execution protocols. Stop writing code for a machine that can write its own code. Grab a notebook, it is time to engineer the physical world. Phase 1. The Contrarian reality check. The death of a software premium. We must first diagnose the exact debilitating macroeconomic reality that millions of software engineers are blindly ignoring. For the last 20 years, the global economy sold a very specific, highly lucrative narrative to the developing world. Learn to code and you will become wealthy. In India, this created the massive IT services boom, the empires of TCS, Infosys, and Wipro. In the UAE, it drove the massive influx of a digital nomad and tech startups to Dubai Internet City. The market paid a massive premium for software developers because software possessed infinite leverage. Write the code once, distribute it to billions. But the laws of supply chain and demand are absolute. The software market has reached terminal saturation. We pushed a massive oversupply of biological human into computer science programs. Simultaneously, we engineered the very tool that commoditized them. Generative AI and large language models. In the 2026 writing standard boilerplate code, developing front-end web applications, or managing standard API is a zero-signal commodity. The AI agent executes the task flawlessly, instantly, and for fraction of a penny. The compensation for these roles is collapsing. The era of a 24-year-old making $500,000 to build a standard iOS application is mathematically over. The corporations have realized they are overpaying for biological router when a silicon algorithm does it better. While the world was obsessed with the digital gold rush, they completely ignored the physical infrastructure required to power it. We stopped training electrical engineers. We stopped training thermodynamics specialists. We entirely stigmatized the nuclear engineering. We created a global workforce of millions of people who knows how to build a digital button on a screen, and a terrifying small handful of people who knows how to generate the electricity required to turn the screen on. This is a contrarian reality check. The tech industry is starved. The talent vacuum is heavy energy architecture is so massive that the sovereign wealth funds and national governments are now engaged in brutal bidding war for the few apex operators who understand how to split an atom or balance a megawatt grid. The leverage has shifted from software layer back to the hardware layer. Phase 2, the high-stakes urgency, the AI compute crisis. To understand the sheer scale of this wealth transfer, we must understand why the energy grid has suddenly become the most critical bottleneck in the human history. We must map the AI compute crisis. The irony of an artificial intelligence revolution is that it requires massive, unprecedented amount of raw physical power. When a tier 1 corporation deploys a massive AI data center in Hyderabad or Abu Dhabi, they do not just plug it into the wall. A single hyperscale AI training cluster consumes hundreds of megawatts of continuous, uninterruptible power. It generates massive thermal output that requires complex cooling architecture. You cannot power an AI data center with unpredictable solar or wind energy. If a cloud passes over a solar array or the wind stops blowing, the voltage drops. The millisecond voltage drops in an AI data center destroys millions of dollars of active computation. AI requires baseload power. It requires continuous, infinite, carbon-free, flawless electricity. There is an exact one technology on the planet capable of delivering this: nuclear energy. For global power grid has hit its breaking point. The legacy coal and gas grids are being decommissioned due to global regulatory pressures. The renewable grids are too fragile and intermittent for hyperscale computation. The only people who save the electrified civilization are nuclear engineers, the high-voltage transmission architects, and the thermodynamics specialists. This is a high-stake urgency. A software developer's mistake creates a bug on a website. A nuclear engineer's mistake eradicates a continent or crashes the entire financial infrastructure of a nation. The stakes are absolute. Therefore, the compensation is absolute. We are witnessing a historical shift. Sovereign state realize that whosoever controls the most efficient, massive energy grid will win the AI war. They are treating energy engineer not as an employee but as a vital national security asset. Phase 3, the UAE sovereign grid, the Barakah blueprint. Let us apply this macroeconomic physics directly to the United Arab Emirates. We must analyze the Barakah blueprint. The UAE is the ultimate case study in apex sovereign foresight. A decade ago, while the rest of the world were debating the viability of nuclear energy, the UAE government aggressively deployed a massive capital to build the Barakah nuclear energy plant in Abu Dhabi. This was not a science experiment. It was a calculated structural architecture designed to power the next 50 years of UAE post-oil economy. Barakah now provides up to 25% of the UAE electricity need completely carbon-free. But who runs Barakah? Who runs the Emirates Nuclear Energy Corporation (ENEC) and the Federal Authority of Nuclear Regulation (FANR)? The UAE quickly realized that they could import software developers from anywhere in the world. But the global supply of a tier 1 nuclear engineers was virtually non-existent. You cannot hire a freelancer nuclear reactor operator. The position requires a massive multi-year security clearances, brutal psychological stress testing, and uncompromising mathematical precision. Because of the talent pool is microscopically small, the leverage the engineer possesses is astronomical. In Dubai and Abu Dhabi, an apex engineer handling grid synchronization or a nuclear compliance does not negotiate their salary with standard HR metric. They dictate their terms directly to the sovereign wealth funds. Their compensation packages, housing allowances, and long-term retention bonuses absolutely those offered to a senior VP software developer at standard tech firm. Furthermore, the UAE is now positioning itself as a global epicenter for AI data center, specifically because it possesses the clean nuclear baseload required to power them. Microsoft recently invested billions in UAE G42. The software giants are bringing the code, but the UAE controls the power. If you are an engineer operating in UAE, the highest status symbol is no longer working for a cloud software startup in Internet City. The highest status symbol is holding a security clearance at ENIC, managing the thermal dynamic of a commercial reactor, and holding the absolute sovereign power of the grid in your hands. Phase 4. The Indian nuclear awakening, the subcontinent pivot. The exact same structural pivot is occurring violently across the Indian subcontinent. We must examine the Indian nuclear awakening. India is currently the fastest growing major economy on the planet. Cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Pune are massive engines of digital output, but they share a catastrophic structural vulnerability. The Indian power grid is heavily strained, historically reliant on imported coal, and struggling to meet the exponential energy demands of 1.4 billion people and a massive new semiconductor manufacturing hubs. The Indian government understands that they cannot become a global superpower if their tech hubs suffer from load shedding and energy deficit. To solve this, India is executing a massive expansion of the Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited (NPCIL) and the Bhabha Atomic Research Center (BARC). They are expanding the Kundakulam nuclear power plant and aggressively developing indigenous pressurized heavy water reactor, the PHWRs, and fast breeder reactors. For the last 20 years, the smartest engineering graduates from IIT's Indian Institute of Technology defaulted to software. They took jobs at massive IT service firms or moved to Silicon Valley to write algorithms for social media companies. They chased the fast, easy money of digital era. That era is over. The hidden opportunity reveal is playing out right across India. Indian government and massive private conglomerate like Tata and Reliance are moving heavily into the new energy sector, are facing a terrifying reality. They have millions of software engineers but a crippling shortage of mechanical, electrical, and nuclear engineers required to build the physical infrastructure. Because of this extreme scarcity, the compensation trajectory is violently corrected. The Tier 1 thermodynamic engineer working on small modular reactor SMR designs for the Indian market is now an apex asset. They are not treated as a disposable labor, they are aggressively quoted by private energy conglomerate and sovereign defense sector. We are seeing the smartest talent in India finally reject the saturated commoditized path of IT service industry. They are ditching the illusion of a Silicon Valley to build the high-stakes physical grid. Mastering nuclear physics, advanced thermodynamics, and high-voltage electrical architecture is now a mathematical faster way to elite wealth and absolute job security than learning another programming language. In India, writing code makes you an employee. Engineering the power grids makes you an architect of the nation. Phase 5, the hidden opportunity execution, the career pivot. We have diagnosed the death of a software premium. We have mapped the AI compute crisis. We have analyzed the sovereign nuclear strategy of a UAE and India. The final phase is your immediate execution. If you are currently a software developer, an IT manager, or a mechanical engineer stuck in a low-leverage industry, how do you pivot to capture this massive once-in-a-generational wealth transfer? You must execute the infrastructure pivot protocol. Step 1. Audit your cognitive baseline. If you are a software engineer, you do not need to abandon your coding skill. You must simply redirect them to superficial applications to physical infrastructure. The nuclear and the energy grids are physical assets, but they are entirely controlled by highly complex digital architecture, the SCADA systems, distributed control systems, and the AI-driven predictive maintenance models. Stop writing code for e-commerce app. Start mastering the low-latency, highly secure embedded systems programming required to manage a power plant. The market pays a massive premium for software engineers who also understand industrial control systems and thermodynamics parameters. Step 2. Enter the regulatory mode. The primary reason nuclear and energy engineers outlearns the coders is because their industry is heavily shielded by regulatory compliance. Anyone with a laptop can claim to be a software developer. You cannot fake being a nuclear safety compliance officer. You must acquire the certification. If you are in UAE, you target FANR compliance protocols. If you are in India, you master the Atomic Energy Regulatory Board, the AERB frameworks. When you hold a certification that legally allows a multi-billion-dollar facility to operate, you possess absolute leverage. You are the legal bottleneck. The company cannot operate without your specific signature. This is how you demand a seven-figure salary. Step 3. Target small modular reactors or SMRs. The future of the energy market is not just massive legacy plant. It is a deployment of a small modular reactor, the SMRs, and the microgrid designed to power localized AI data centers and remote manufacturing hubs. This is a brand new hyper-growth sector operating at the intersection of tech startup and heavy industries. You position your career exactly in this crosshair. You market yourself not as a traditional engineer, but as a decentralized energy architect. Step 4. Broadcast your sovereign intent. Once you have acquired the knowledge, you must force the market to recognize your value. You do not send a generic resume to energy companies. You step into your acoustic-treated digital studio. You deploy your elite Cineline gear, your Sony FX series camera with the razor-sharp cinematic lighting. We import the complex structural diagrams of thermal efficiency matrices of SMR deployment protocols into DaVinci Resolve 20. You record a highly structured, sentimental video essay deconstructing exactly how the integration of AI predictive maintenance can increase the baseload efficiency of a power grid by 4%. You broadcast this artifact directly to the C-suite of a global energy conglomerate and sovereign wealth funds in Abu Dhabi and Mumbai. When the CEO or an energy minister watches that broadcast, they do not see a commodity coder. They see an apex structural engineer. They see a sovereign operator who understands the highest stakes physics on the planet. They will aggressively bid for your talent because you represent the exact missing component to their trillion-dollar infrastructure survival plan. Look closely at the screen you are currently staring at. Look at the light in your room. Everything you do, everything the global economy does is 100% reliant on the physical flow of electrons. The people who write the software are currently experiencing mass layoffs and commoditization. The people who generate the electrons are commanding the absolute highest premium in the global labor market. Stop fighting for scraps in the saturated digital economy. Pivot your cognitive bandwidth. Master the physics of the grid. Become a hardware sovereign and force the market to pay you for the exact energy that keeps civilization alive. Process the data, execute the strategy, and I'll see you at the top.